Hello, everyone. Today we have with us Cody Jensen. Cody is the founder and CEO of Searchbloom, an award winning search engine marketing firm, also named as an inaugural member of the prestigious Clutch 1000 list. Cody, welcome to the show. Really excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Cody, you run a successful, like digital marketing agency, which is growing, and like there's much more to achieve for you. But let's take a step back. How was Cody as a kid growing up?
It's funny. I was a bit of a pain in the butt, I think, for my parents growing up. I was wild, didn't do really good in school, didn't really excel in a lot of things until I learned about golf. And then I became obsessed with it, like infatuated. Tiger Woods was my absolute hero, and I was maybe 12 or 13 at the time, and I picked up golf and just became obsessed and still golf to this day. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, I think it's. I mean, would you say like somebody who is pain in the butt, and always I mean, not breaking rules, but like kind of like as a kid, somebody who is pain in the butt, like, is that like a trait of an entrepreneur or like?
I think different strokes for different folks. I think it could be, you could have entrepreneurs that have always been rule followers and, uh, done it the way that people consider the right way, I think everybody's just kind of on their own path. It's all different. For me, I was a bit of a troublemaker growing up. Um, and I got kicked out of school and this and that and the other. The thing is though is that I learned a lot from that, right? And I think that sort of rebel is a part of what I do in SEO and pay per click as well. It's like I'm almost competing against Google and I'm highly competitive. So I'm not only competing with all of the other SEOs in the industry that I'm targeting, I'm also competing against Google, which is like a moving target. So I don't know, it's kind of all come full circle, I guess.
Understand, understand. You've had an amazing journey, like working like in Google and then like multiple roles across agencies. What led to starting your own? Like, what led to Search Bloom?
I think necessity led to it, but I'll give that some color. I started, I guess, in the industry at Google, but really it was Google Offers. It was like an arm of Google, and Google Offers was like Groupon. It was basically a knockoff of Groupon that Google started. It failed ultimately, but what I was introduced to was analytics, and that's when I first kind of got obsessed again with like digital marketing, the marketing as a whole, and web analytics. I mean, I grew up in the days where it was still dial-up internet. When I was making trouble as a kid, I was on AOL dial-up, right? And the search engine was AOL. So we went from there to here, and it's been a wild ride. So I started getting obsessed with it there. Then I went into a custom development company. I did business development for that, and I learned about code. Became obsessed with that. And then I went to Boostability, became obsessed with SEO, and then I went to 180 Fusion, became obsessed with pay per click and all these other things like CRO and whatever. But it was built out of necessity because out of the last two agencies that I met with, they were all, I mean, the agencies themselves operated fairly smoothly, but they were all, they had big sales teams and they were promising things that really shouldn't have been promised, right? They were setting people up ultimately for failure and in some instances, not all. And I couldn't sell a service like that. I felt icky when I did that. So took some time, but then I finally said, I know there's a better way. This can be done transparently. It can be done with really a high level of service and still maintain a level of profit. It might not be the same level of profit or margin that other agencies might get, but for me, it was more out of obligation. Like I felt like people are getting taken advantage of, and I didn't want these business owners to have to go through that. So I started Searchbloom. That was 10 years ago.
Right, right, right. And like, what were some of the early challenges you faced? Like when you launched Search Bloom.
Getting clients is probably the biggest one, right? Also, the company that I left didn't appreciate that I left and started a competing agency. And back then, it was totally legal. I was the director of strategy at the time, so it's totally legal for them to come after me, and they certainly did. So that that cost some money. Some early struggles as well as like working out of my house, even having employees work out of my home. That I mean, that was a struggle. Payroll at times, I started this company with 30,000 bucks and I really had to make that $30,000 stretch. So I invested in what I knew how to do, SEO. And golly,
Right,
we still rank number one for this keyword, National SEO Services. We have for like 9 years. And that
right,
keyword generated leads and still does today. So we find we got a few clients. We call them partners. It's kind of weird to call them
right,
clients, but we got a few bigger ones, and then we started cooking. At least what I was thinking we were cooking, and maybe we're doing 50 grand a month or something. Still out of my house, right? I had maybe three people working for me, and then we say, okay, let's get an office. But then one of our big clients cancels, right? And I'm like, shoot, I can't afford the
oh,
office. So I have to negotiate with
yeah,
the landlord to see if I can get out of this lease that I just signed. And luckily he was wonderful and allowed me to get out of that. But back to the house we go, and now it's 5 employees
yeah,
following me, and now we've got more leads coming in, and that's happened just once, but boy, it's certainly humbling, right? And part of like the buildup. Now, since COVID, everybody is 100% remote. We have employees all over the world, and yeah, the majority are in the United States. A majority of those are actually still here in Utah. But
yeah.
boy, those would be just some of the struggles. I mean, there's countless. There's so many. Agency life is not for
Right.
everybody, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's such a like a amazing experience, and you're absolutely right. I mean, agency life is definitely not for everyone. Um, when somebody is starting new, like when somebody is starting an a digital marketing agency, there's always this dilemma of like how to expand and how much to expand. Now, what I mean is, like let's say somebody starts with offering SEO, and initially, like you say, SEO will take its time, like to kind of rank on keywords yourself and generate inbound leads. Initially you normally want to start with, let's say, a niche. You already have some references, or you have some advantage where okay, fine, I'm going to get my first 5 clients from here, right? So normally, typically, you start with one service and one niche, right? And then when you're growing, you try to do everything. Like some people would like offer SEO but then increase niches, or some people would just offer like other services also. Like, I mean, having been there, having grown a successful agency, like how would you suggest entrepreneurs starting to kind of like go through that part of the growth?
Hmm. I probably, looking back now, I probably wouldn't start with like a growth plan. I would start with a business plan, and that would incorporate one arm of growth. But oftentimes you get a marketer that starts a marketing company, right? They, in a lot of cases, maybe not most, but in a lot of cases, they're not entrepreneurs, or they don't know financial data, right? They don't know what a income statement is, or a profit and loss statement, which are basically the same thing, a balance sheet. They don't understand some of these things. Bookkeeping. I didn't do bookkeeping for the first year Searchbloom was in business because I didn't know. Like I didn't know what I didn't know. So having had to learn through the school of hard knocks, I would say first understand more about business and connect with business leaders. Go to like your local Chamber of Commerce business group or whatever it is. BNI in the United States is big and bigger, I guess. But rub shoulders with those that have gone before you, right? Try to reach out and find people who have already done it so that they know kind of how to direct you. Uh, a part of that business plan might be and should be growth. And for me, I'll tell you how I did it. I would offer free stuff to like friends and families that I knew had businesses. And I would say, hey, can I build you a website? And so I would build them a website. And then, they'd really like it. And then I said, hey, I can actually get this website to rank, but it just costs me a little bit of money to do it. And it's from a book. It's called The Go Giver. The Go Giver
Mhm.
Sells More is the second book. It basically giving more value than you receive in payment is like the underlining principle of that book. So for me, it was giving for free, knowing that eventually it would pay off in brand loyalty and affection, and it obviously sells. And that worked for me. And then we started getting lots of leads, right? So then I could start charging. And I also it's important to know, like in this business plan, what you want to do. Like, do you want to have a one-man band shop? Because that's okay, and you can make a lot of money just doing it yourself, and you can be in full control. You also have full control over your time and your scheduling and all that stuff. It allows for a different lifestyle, right? Whereas when you own an agency that is medium to large size, you are needed. You're needed in that agency a lot, and it's a different component. It's not about marketing anymore. I mean, sure, that's a part of it, but it's also about teaching leaders and leading leaders, and then getting those leaders to lead their teams, and working through people is a big part of owning a medium-sized agency. It's not just, do I know how to do SEO? Cool, let's start a business. Like, you can, and if you decide I want to just be a one-man band, good on you. There's plenty of people that are pulling down net 20 grand a month with maybe five big clients, and that's fantastic for them. They have a great work-life balance. So determine what you want first, and from there you kind of build it out. For me, I didn't know this. I had to learn it through the school of hard knocks. So at first I was like, well, I'll just see what happens. Okay. And now we started getting a lot of partners, a lot of clients. And I'm like, holy crap, now I got to figure out how to operate this thing, and I didn't know how to do any of this. So had to learn fast. And the best way to for me to learn was just to jump in the water. So I did that.
I think it's very important for somebody, like, I mean, to know what they want, right? Like you said, somebody can have like five clients, like make net 20 grand and live a good life if that's what they want, like definitely makes sense. Talking about, like client relationships, which is very important, like, like with a big agency like yours, like, how do you ensure like long lasting, successful client relationships?
Very carefully. It's a very hard part of the job, and often the most underlooked aspect uh, of an agency. And I think it comes down to building trust. And one of the most underrated part of the sales process, I believe, is building rapport. And when you have built rapport with one of your clients, and you have built trust by doing what you say you're going to do, it makes it much harder for that client to leave you, because they like you and you're doing what you say you're going to do. Whether the results are there or not, it still makes it harder for them to leave. If you're doing the right things, the results should be there, right? So now you have three things going for you. Hard to lose a client when you do those things really, really well. So that's what we teach our team. And with Searchbloom, our clients have direct access and work directly with our analysts, as opposed to an account management team, because then it just comes straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah, they may not be as they're not going to sell you anything. They're not there to sell you. You've already been sold. They're here. They're basically there to do for you, right? To do the thing that we said we were going to do, and they do it.
Right. Was this like was the structure like this from day one? Like was it always like the analyst directly working with the client, or did you like try the account manager style first, and that did not work, and then shifted to this. Just want to understand, because it's very interesting to know that your model is analyst working directly with the clients, whereas the typical model is where there's a client success person in between the analyst and the client.
Yeah, well, the latter is far more scalable, right? When you have an account manager in between an SEO, both of them can manage bigger books of business without, raising costs astronomically, right? The we have always, for the most part, been analyst first, right? So they were client facing. And that's because that's how I did it, in the basement when I was starting up the company. Like I was Cody, and I sold you. I did the thing that I said I was going to do, and then I showed you the results, right? And then I taught someone else to do the same thing, and then I taught someone else to do the same thing, and that's how it grew very well in the beginning. And then maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I can't remember, we decided, well, account management is the next way that we scale, because for Searchbloom, we have more demand than we have supply, meaning we have leads than we're able to deliver for. So we have to pick and choose which partners we really, really want to work with. Ultimately, though, in order to scale, we tried the account management thing, but we just learned that it was a lot of a telephone game, right? Where, the client would ask a question, the account manager, even if they were very well versed in SEO and PPC, maybe they didn't know this particular thing. So they would put in a request for the SEO, and turnaround times lagged. And ultimately, the white glove experience, it went away, and that's what we're known for. Like, if you want to talk to your person at Searchbloom, you just email them and they'll talk to you, right? That kind of it wasn't as good as we'd liked it, so we cut it off. We only tested it for like 3 months, and only with a cohort of our partners. It didn't work for us in that at that time. It could work for us for sure.
Right, right, right. When you're, hiring is such a crucial, part of, building, an agency. Like, what are like some of the main, like qualities you look for in a potential hire, or is there like a specific hiring model that you follow?
I think it's changed over the years a lot. In the beginning, it was quick, right? It was very quick. I knew a person that I maybe had worked with in the past, and I thought, yeah, you'd be good in this role. Let's do it, right? But now, Ali, we have 3 rounds of interviews, and the first round of interview has nothing to do with the job. We want to learn more about the person. We want to learn about their core values. We want to ask them questions that they are not prepared for. And we want to see who they are as opposed to what they can do. And if we determine who they are is it aligns with who we are, then they go to the second round. And from the second round, we ask them questions more along the lines of, what can you do? The final interview is a presentation where they have to show it. You know what? Some people won't do that for a job. They just don't. They don't have a shot at Searchbloom if they don't do it.
Right. So basically, the cultural fit surpasses the skill set. Like, the cultural fit test is the first test that you do.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I've made this mistake. So I've hired brilliant SEOs who come in to the agency and are within a month they've become poisonous in the company because they were not a culture fit. And
Right.
and not only did they end up not working, the people that they poisoned along the way also left, or we fired them because they become some they we were having issues, right? So ultimately, you hire quickly, fire quickly. Big lesson. Also, definitely want to hire the who before the what first. There's a book actually on it. I think it's called Who, something along those lines. And that really was a defining change in the company, because we're able to find the A players that we need to do these harder things when you're account managing and doing SEO and doing PPC and knowing how to do that. To find that person at a relatively affordable cost is like finding a unicorn. right? It's very, very difficult. So we only hire the best. That's what we do. We only hire the best because that is our product. Our product is our people in the Searchbloom way, our operating system of what we do, how we do it.
Right. You have mentioned like a passion for both analytics, which you call as the left brain, and creativity, which you call as the right brain. How do you effectively balance these two opposing forces in your approach to marketing?
Embrace them, I think. I always start with the analytics side of the brain. That leads me down paths, and those pathways then turn on maybe light bulbs that could be the other side of the brain, the creative side, which then turn into other rabbit holes and ideas and opportunities. What I've learned is as I do a thing, I just document it. I start documenting it because you can, and I teach my team this all the time. You go out, you have your mind set on doing a certain task. You go to do that certain task, and you find X, Y, and Z also are problems that need to be resolved. What do? Right? Well, in a lot of cases, the undisciplined person might just go down all those rabbit holes, but now you spend a whole day on one client or one
Yeah.
thing, and you didn't get it all done because you're focused on all these different things. So instead, it's like block and tackle. This is the thing I'm doing. I finished this thing, but I've documented all along the way all the light bulbs that happened while I was doing the thing.
Right. As an agency owner, CEO, right? I mean, you also want to build like your thought leadership. Like any like, tips for like, new entrepreneurs starting agencies, like, what are the best ways to start building your thought leadership?
I don't know. I don't really consider myself one of those thought leaders. I do podcasts occasionally like this. I do write on our blog. Right now, I'm writing something about headless CMSs and how they're the future. And I do try to contribute to the community locally and nationally. But if I were to make a suggestion early on, it would be as far as growth goes. I would say networking is probably the best thing you can do. LinkedIn has I'm not trying to like brag or inflate numbers or anything, but I guarantee you I've made at least $1 million just from LinkedIn, right? And it's not hard to like I'm not even saying posting on LinkedIn. It's like just making connections and having mini conversations with people, right? And
Yeah.
maybe it turns into nothing, but maybe it turns
Yeah.
into them referring you to like the other day I got a referral from someone I didn't even know. I thought well, I didn't remember that I knew them. And I got a referral and I'm like, yes, I did speak to that person 6, 8, 18 months ago. It does pay off and it's kind of in the lines with that go giver mentality is trying to provide people with value.
All right. Tell us your favorite client story.
Hmm. There are many.
I'm sure, but
I will
anyone that comes top of your mind.
yeah, here's one. This I think is a good one. We work with a an attorney and still do to this day, but this attorney, awesome guy. We love working with him. We're doing his SEO and his pay-per-click. He has multiple locations. We're doing all of it for him. We built his website, and he's achieving results, right? At really, really good, strong results. And he decides, well, I want to do social and I want to do, all this other stuff, right? So he goes and finds an agency that does SEO and PPC and meta ads and all this, all the things, right? They do all of it, programmatic. In about 8 months, he says he emails me, "Can I come back?" Question mark, right? And now he's back. We've recovered all of his traffic. We've built him a new website. All this stuff. We fixed all the issues, and I would say that just has to do with what we specialize in and what we don't specialize in. Like there's a lot of companies, as you alluded to earlier, that will grow by virtue of being experts in all things, right? Maybe it's they add this discipline like social media organic or paid social media meta ads to their lineup, but it's harder than it looks, right? They think they can do it because they can do this really really hard thing, but it's apples and oranges. It's right brain, left brain. Um, we this is all we do. It's search. Searchbloom is focused, dedicated on search, and that's all that we really do. So now, full circle, the client's been back with us for 2 years, a little under 2 years now, and we just applied for a Landy Award with the case study that we've done for them.
Right. What is the best use of AI you are doing right now at Searchbloom that you're most excited about?
I like using AI to help with like ideas, writer's block, things like that. I think it's helpful in that respect. I think it's really quite helpful with data aggregation. So ways in which we use it is to develop insights on the company's scorecard based on our data sets, right? So analyze this massive data set and tell us what you think, right? I think that as a tool is really quite compelling. The machine learning aspect of large data sets is fun. Other ways, I'm sure that our developers use Copilot quite a bit just to make sure that they're doing it the way that they want it to be done.
Right.
The AI is, I think, awesome, and I think we're still very much in its infancy. Really excited to see where things go from here.
Right, right. Content is evolving so much, like video, like is evolving on a daily basis. We are seeing people, again, depending on the niches, but we are seeing TikTok also, like helping a lot of businesses, like people moving from like written blogs to like videos and all of that stuff. I mean, but still, um, how much, like when you do, when you're doing marketing, like when you're doing like marketing for your clients, like how much valuable are you still finding, written form content, or how do you kind of, like decide between like which forms of content to go with?
How to decide is based on the intent of the query, right? Generally speaking, though, if you take a piece of content and you turn it into all, then you're going to hit all of your marks, right? So, video, audio, text, imagery, infographic, all of these types of things, if you can create them all, do that thing, right? Make a masterpiece and not a blog post that's full of words that people don't read. People don't read on the internet. The irony, right? They don't read, they skim. And what gets skimmers' attention is video and audio and visual graphics, right? Headlines, things like this. So the way that a page is styled is critically important for user experience and thereby SEO, right? If someone goes to a blog post but then quickly leaves, over time, if you get statistical significance or more data, Google is going to demote you. We know this by virtue of the latest leak in Google, right? So we I think we had an idea that this was happening for many years,
Yeah.
and at Moz kind of proved that click-through rate is a ranking factor. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, those are some thoughts, I guess.
Right. Any advice you would like to, give like entrepreneurs like starting, like agencies, or like in the early phases of their growth?
Well, yeah, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Build your business plan first, right? Know who you are and what you want exactly. Determine what those things are before ideally you've decided to, take the plunge or whatever. Because that when you have that vision written down and dictated, you're more apt to achieve that vision. If you don't, like me, then you have to develop it on the fly, and you have all these experts in the world telling you how to do things. So you try to piece it together. But ultimately, if I were to go back, I probably wouldn't change anything, but I would just use all of the years of experience in doing this and operating an agency to my advantage, and knowing that, hey, accounting is critically important. You got to do that, right? Hey, you need to understand what how you're getting your clients, and what the other methods you can use to acquire new clients. Then there's the hiring process and the SOPs and the documentation of your SOPs. All of these things are just so huge. They're hugely important, and I think sometimes going into something, you're so passionate about pay per click or whatever it is that you don't. you don't know what you don't know yet, and it's about to hit you in the face, right?
Right, right. Perfect. Well, Cody, in the end, I like playing a quick rapid fire round of 3 to 5 questions. Ready?
Sure, let's do it.
Texting or talking?
Texting.
Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings, for sure.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Right now it is chocolate brownie.
Last Google search, if you remember.
It was Searchbloom, that our branded term. I see it right now in one of my
Right.
browser tabs.
If a movie was made on you, what genre would it be?
Yeesh. Maybe. Well, I mean, it could be like. Um, I don't know the genre, but you know the book Ready Player One. It's kind of it's a bit out there, right? I would prefer it to be something like that, where it's like one of those books or those movies. But in reality, it would probably be just some lame ass documentary.
Well, perfect. Well, Cody, thank you so much for your time. It was fun having you.
My pleasure, absolutely.